Tubi and I rapping together. Remember how you said you don't sing? We didn't sing,
It's true, we didn't sing.
but we laid down some fat rhymes. Did I rhyme? I don't think I rhymed.
There was some
What?
rhyming there.
Oh, cool.
Alrighty, well, welcome back to part 2 of Town Hall episode 86. I'm getting there.
Is there actually a rap about me?
I can only imagine what that experience is going to be like
That was only a thing?
for the YouTube VOD.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait till you watch the VOD, man. It was a good
It
rap.
was great, dude.
It was about how we go out every night and it's cold out, and you're bitching about how it's cold wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes
Guilty.
sense.
All right, well,
It's too much work to get changed.
if you happen to miss the first half of the show, we talked about Cho'Gall, scaling changes, and gathering power. Here in the second half of the show, we're going to be opening up with a discussion about Tempo Storm with Dreadnought and KO and exactly what is going on with the team. Now, anyone that doesn't know, Zuna and Arthalon have moved on, and they are now playing a team with Urho, McIntyre, and Kenma called the Bob Ross Fan Club. That means there are 2 slots open. KO, Dread, Soldier, still together.
Still together.
What's the deal, buddy?
I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
Let me go ahead and just lay down some bombs and law. 5 slots are open. Dread, KO, and Soldier are trying out for their own positions. No one on the roster is locked in. It is.
Ooh.
We are doing tryouts for every position, and so just to get that out there, if you're a support player and you're wanting to try out, Dreadnought can get
Sucks at life.
Right. Sucks
You
at
got
life.
this. You got this.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it's not much. It's just been doing tryouts, trying to cycle through, find some talent. That's really it. I mean, found a couple people that are pretty chill, seem pretty decent. The strangest part about it is I forgot what it's like to play with different people.
Yeah.
That's actually the weirdest part because with SMG and then through Tempo and everything else, it's mainly been just 4 people that I've always played with. So seeing what different people bring to the table when it comes to competitive play outside of just because what the viewers only see is just he missed this skill shot, he hit this skill shot, he's good, bad. They failed to see what they bring in terms of game knowledge, communication, things like that. And so it's been a lot of fun getting to relearn what it's like to play with different people, and not only that, see the pros and cons, I guess, of what was the roster, what is, and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start seeing there's a lot more that goes into a player being on a team than just their mechanics. I mean, how people interact in a team dynamic is really important, and whether you actually want to do that with them long run and try to build something and improve is a lot different than just playing with people who are good at the game.
Yeah.
Jared, did you talk about the tryout process at all on last episode? Because you did talk a little bit towards the end of the episode about this, but
I think I just said we're holding tryouts.
Yeah, he didn't talk about
because I think that might be interesting.
Yeah.
If you guys want to talk about it, how the trial process works and
how do you find people?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you get a tryout?
Well, there was a very small handful of people that we wanted to reach out to. Very small, I'd say less than 5. So outside of that, it's just people reaching out to either me or Dreadnought and being like, "Hey, I want to try out." We review them as a team and is this person, someone we might actually want to play with? And if they
When
do,
you say reach out, though, is there a baseline? Is there a minimum?
Twitter, what do you mean baseline?
Do you have to have a hot slog account of certain MMR? What's
you definitely can't. Anything under 3K hot slogs would be
I don't even
probably
care
not.
about hot slogs. If you haven't competed in an actual tournament, then
Yeah,
Okay.
you're
that might be
probably-
true too. I don't think we have an absolute. A lot of it is just have we played against this person? How much? How do we feel when we played against them? Things like that. And then if we felt when we played against them, it was they did things of note. Maybe it's worth a try, then see how they do in communication, things like that.
Okay. What is something where you're like, oh, you did that? I see you. And then you take note of that and you bring it up for later. We're like, what is that type of play that Roy
What was
stands out
that
with you guys?
accent?
a lot of it comes from like really smart positioning. I think is probably the number one. When you recognize somebody does something like really smart, is I think a lot about positioning is the number one. You like, wow, you just messed up really bad. Like whatever you were thinking you were doing, you shouldn't have been doing that. I think that's the number one flaw. But then you also see it with strengths with like Merdins who are smart with like when they use their leaps, things like that.
Yeah.
Are some of the really stand out like wow, especially as a healer. At least I can tell when I really feel pressured by a team versus when I feel like I'm like again heal botting like everybody, just throwing out tranks and shit and not worried about anything. And so I think that's probably a big part of it. When it comes to when they actually try out with us, probably one of the things that I found most impressive where I've been um, like on my side would be when they take initiative. I think is something that I find most impressive because a lot of people walk in timid and I need this type deal where it's like they're just like I want to try out, and it's just like follow everything Dredd says word for word. Don't break it at all. Like don't do this. Like it's the ones that walk in and go, "What about this? What about this? This is happening." Like the ones that are moving forward and like that's what you look for. Not just like the
Dreadnought shot calling is very hands off. It's not necessary. It's that's why like we had Zuna on the team. It was like we would say they're both shot callers. Dreadnought is like the will of God, right? He's like the final word. He gets the last say on things. He does not micromanage though. And there's been a few tryouts that come in. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? Like they're like only doing what Dreadnought says, but he's not very intensive with his shot calling. It's very he'll say he has a general theme for the game, like what we're doing next, where we're going next, but he won't be like soak this minion wave, then come. Make sure you get that last thing. Make sure you swing by giants, then you go there to get the watchtower, and then you come back here. Right? It's very hands off. You play your game, but then whenever it comes to a decision like do we do boss or do we push mid, that's where Dreadnought does a shot calling. And there's been a few tryouts that's very like Dreadnought. What do we do here? Hello, and that turns us off very very quickly.
It's macro versus micro is how I view it. I'm very much like not going to tell you to do this or this and this. And it's like, I feel like, for instance, a prime example is like if you're on Sylvanas and you're going to make a rotation to a different lane or whatever, I'm not going to tell you clear this wave, and then come down and like be with us for a tribute or something. Like you should have a reasonable expectation. I'm going to say we need to be rotating for this tribute as a 5-man. I'll say if it's time intensive. If it's not, then you should take the appropriate amount of time to be able to be in position when you know it's going to be a threat, but also obtaining the most of XP like for your team as possible. Things like that.
Okay, well, anything different from the non-shot calling perspective that isn't covered, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with a lot of what he's saying, and just like what I was going back to before, just basically finding people who work well with the team, because right now, we don't just need to like emergency pick up a really good player who's just like a good player and that's the entire package. It's more like, can we get somebody now who we can work with, and people who we can kind of like mold into our style and like, they can really become a part of a team instead of just like, well, we'll work with you in your own style. You know what I mean? So that's really the most interesting thing to me.
I like a lot too that when players bring something to the table that's not in game. Like when they bring thoughts, how they feel about drafts. A lot of people show up and they're just like, you do your drafting, we'll play whatever Tempo Storm wants to play. But there have been some of our best tryouts have been, actually I think this is a better pick here. Why don't we like ban this instead? I see this a lot. Someone who who and not just with draft though, but like with thoughts on the game. Like one of our specific tryouts, we ended up talking about a very minuscule decision for like 10 minutes, just because everyone wanted to get their thoughts in on it, and just being willing to voice your opinion without like again what Dredd said earlier. People are timid. Like that's like we want someone who we don't want 4 drones that follow the shot caller. We want 5 dreadnoughts essentially, like people who all make their own decision making. That's why C9 is so terrifying in their gameplay, because you can never know what they could potentially do, because it's not just one person making calls. All 5 people on C9 do shot calling. They just go with whatever's the best decision.
Yeah, that was a big thing when you guys brought on Zuna. Like I remember you highlighting that very clearly. You're just like,
Jake, what did you do?
I was loading up one of the VODs for a future segment, and it was really loud.
Okay, I guess we can't hear it. So I just see the chat is like really mad. So yeah, when you guys brought Zuna on, you're like he's telling us to communicate more. He's telling us to like call cooldowns and is like helping us with our drafting. I'm like, yeah, I think that is a really cool thing, and obviously
He
something
taught
you
us
guys
things.
want. Right,
One of the very
exactly.
first, like literally the very first block we had with Zuna, we learned things about the game. This was when SMG, like, they were one of the best teams in the world. They were number 2 to C9 at the time, like, and he taught us things, like multiple stuff like that. That's what we look for in players, not just another follower, but people who, are willing to do everything they can to learn and help their team improve. This is not a game where like you can just if you do your game, you'll always be good. You have to be working as a team and working to improve as a team. You can't just be some god tier AD carry who gets all their stacks and it doesn't matter what else you do. You have to be willing to work.
Let's ask the hard questions now. Are you guys willing to talk about some of the more promising tryouts?
Probably not.
See that hesitation
Probably not.
there? They're just like,
Probably not.
I'm
Chaos sitting over there like,
It won't be hidden too long, probably. Like we're not signing anyone anytime soon, and we're gonna keep as people show up. We're gonna keep the tryout process going. There are 2 very good players so far that we are very happy with. We don't know if they're the perfect fit yet. We've been playing with them a very short amount of time, but we're happy with them so far. I'm sure there'll be maybe a random I enter the storm or something we might enter. I don't know. Like our only goal right now is 2016. We don't give a shit about anything that happens the rest of this year. DreamHacks, WCA, we don't care. Our only goal is getting the perfect roster for January 1st when 2016 comes, and we're ready to compete in the Blizzard tournaments. That's all we care about.
DreamHack, $25,000 prize pool, Sweden, not interested. WCA, $250,000 prize pool, $250,000 in China that Tempo Storm has already earned a spot in.
We got invited to DreamHack. We turned it down. We qualified for WCA. We're not going. We are only here for
$250,000.
you guys heard it.
Actually,
here
all
first.
we've been told is $250,000 plus. Last year's Dota tournament was $458 thousand US dollars.
458 PogChamp.
We could. Okay, so here's the thing. They asked us to lock in our roster at a certain point, right? We can spend that amount of time going with that roster and essentially showing up and doing not very much. It wouldn't be the group that we plan to try and work forward with for the remainder of the year. You're looking at one large tournament with one lump sum. But if I use this amount of time in order to try and improve as an actual 5 group, and work better, that whole lump sum is a mere fraction of what the entirety of 2016 is. At first you look at it and you're like, wow, this is colossal, and you're gonna say but that's wasting a month and a half of our time.
So
you can't just be like, well, you should have got I don't know. I would those things are very appealing.
So,
I want to go to Sweden. I want to go to China.
Yeah. Here's what it comes down to. You guys were asked a while ago to lock your roster, and you lock in.
Not a while ago. We got it was just to clarify. This isn't something that we sat on for a while. We're like, no. It was about a week and a half ago that we were asked to lock in. It was middle of tryouts. We probably could have gotten 2 people from some non-qualified team. We probably we did ask Arthlon and Zuna, hey, you guys want to go to China potentially and just get just show up, win some money, go home, right? We did. Those were all options that we could have potentially done, but it was very short amount of time, right? It was we got invited to DreamHack and had to lock in a roster for WCA post BlizzCon. So this isn't something that we've been sitting on for months.
Right.
It was a very, very quick decision we had to make.
So people don't want to go on a vacation to China.
Yeah, we want to be the best team in 2016 is what we want.
So how long would you actually be in China for? That's the question.
More than a week.
They said a bare minimum for international players would be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And you feel like that 2 weeks is actually a point
for WCA, yes, not for DreamHack. DreamHack
Well,
would have been a short trip.
let's reflect on what Blizzard has told us for next year. The season for 2016 starts in January. Yep. WCA is the second week of December. That's giving you a maximum of 5 weeks if it's at the end of December for the first WCA match. It could, for all we know, it's January 16th or something. That's probably a weekday.
There's been a lot of
nice. It's a Saturday. Nice.
I respect
There's been a lot of
dedication.
decision making that has influenced us in the past. Are we comfortable being with the best in NA? If we're the best in NA, we can win a lot of money, right? But we're wanting to be the best in the world. None of us are here for the money. We're here to just, legit. None of us are here for the money. No one on Tempo Storm as a player is just sitting here I'm here to just make a buttload of money and then go home because they wouldn't be in esports for that. They're here because they're competitors and they want to be the best, not NA in the world. And there's only a short-term benefit for going to those events. And we would have, if we were to go to those and if we were to go to WCA and take that seriously, we would probably have to have locked in a roster that we knew we would not be competing with in 2016. So we'd be wasting time doing this. So if we were to just be like Kubi said, let's go to China for a vacation. We all just want to get the best team. That's all we want to do is just try. Like literally, like I think when we got back from BlizzCon, when we knew the roster changes had happened, we said let's take a week, maybe 2 off. Just to kind of relax, take a break. We've been at it for so long, and then we're going to go in the tryouts. Literally 2 days later, Dreadnought and KO wake me up. Oh, we're doing scrims right now. We found some tryouts. No, we're not late.
Sorry.
So it's too late to go to WCA. Is that correct?
I mean, I'm sure if we bugged them right now, we could go.
Because I just want to say that there is no better way to try out a player than a live event. That is the ultimate tryout. And as much of a commitment as that is, it's the test, right? Next year is global competition all over the place. Test your team at a global scale. How can they adapt against other regions? If they're used to playing against North America...
Anyone can get used to playing at Atlanta over time. As long as you
LAN is one thing. Global styles is another. There's a whole list of different experiences that come into play with taking players to that. And if you think you have promising options... It seems like a worthwhile experience.
I don't know. It's something I would say that is unlikely, but I would be possibly consider. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just.
You're right, Jake. You're your point's not wrong.
Stuck between two evils, and it's just try and pick the one that sucks the less. I mean, that's pretty much been the story of Tempo Storm for the past 6 months, but.
Ooh, damn. Well, I'm just saying. There's going to be a lot of upset fans if we have this big global event in December and the fan favorites aren't there.
I don't think that anymore, but
Tempo Storm has a big fan base. It's pretty obvious at LAN events.
We don't have a big fan base.
It's pretty obvious at NA
great
events.
Fans. But okay. Well, when I heard the word fan favorite, I heard you would mean take the tournament.
Not fan favorites, but the crowd gets hyped when Tempo plays.
No, you're right.
Is what I'm saying.
It sucks. It's definitely something we took into account. We've taken those things into account, any situation. When we did when we go back to the forfeit that we did, we took that into account too. We think about every possible situation. But I don't know, missing one event for just 2016, that is. 2016 is going to be so huge.
It's not like it's bad logic. I'm just conveying a point.
No, your point's right. Your point is 100% right. I don't know. It's just we wanted to focus on tryouts, and it would be a big commitment going to WCA. Literally, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like to some people a long time, but a month and a half goes by quick. And it's not just finding that roster. It's making sure that roster is as good as possible by the first league that Blizzard does. And I don't know if practice, playing in China, there's no guarantee that we would be able to get 8 hours of scrims a day, working on things together as a team. It'd be a fun thing as an bonding experience, but I don't know. It wasn't just something that it wasn't a decision we looked at and we're just no, let's just.
Oh, I know. I am.
A lot of thought.
I certainly wouldn't think it was. All right. Well, Tempo's still trying out their team. Future of the team. Could there be role swaps? Dread, formerly a warrior, currently support.
It would take a lot, but it is possible. Literally anything is possible at this point when it comes to the roster and everything. All options are open.
Yep.
Yeah. I know people are a big fan of this. People are a big fan of Dread's Warrior. Soldier was originally the flex player for SMG, and he has been primarily playing flex in our scrim so far.
That's good to hear. He's a much better flex player than a warrior. I used to think he was a godly flex player.
Some people used to think he was the best player in the world when he was on flex.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that's really cool to hear. All right, well, much in the future for Tempo Storm. Obviously, we'll be following that through tournaments and events once they find their rosters start to enter. And the other half, Zuna and Arthlon, they've been competing as Bob Ross Fan Club. We'll see where they end up going. They just won their first tournament. They won Enter the Storm North America, right?
Yep.
Qualifier.
The
first qualifier.
They won the first qualifier with flying colors. I don't know if they dropped a game. I don't think they
They
did.
did not drop a game.
They didn't drop a game,
Yeah,
so
looked
they
pretty dominant too.
pretty dominant results from them.
Murloc Geniuses was in it, and
They took down Murlocs. They took down
Wasn't
Blaze,
Cog in it or no?
Elevate and
Elevate.
Kappa.
Kappa. Yeah, I think those were the 4 teams they beat. All very good teams.
That's for your first tournament to come out as a new 5-man. That's impressive results for sure.
Yeah,
yeah, they
absolutely.
looked good. So
They're.
congrats
I
to
mean,
those
they
guys.
all 5 of those players are really good. And I wish, like, honestly, like
Yeah.
you just saw Arth come on stream, like in the pre-show. Like, there's no like weird bad blood. Or
Oh,
anything
yeah.
between us.
Yeah.
Like like
And-
it just literally wasn't the right fit. And
We're all adults now.
I'm hoping that is, if that team, like I know everyone, like in the Reddit threads, like, oh, you've heard this and this about this player. Let's talk about the league background. If those 5 players work together, that is going to be a scary team. When McIntyre got kicked from his team, everyone was like, Complexity just kicked their by far best player. When Urho was the take for Complexity / Barrel Boys at the time, people thought he was one of the best warriors in North America.
Yeah.
Like probably second to Caffeine at the time. Like they're all fantastic players, and if they work together and they don't have problems, that is going to be a terrifying team to deal with. Like actually disgustingly good.
From my perspective, just like as a general, I want to see the highest level of HOTS possible. It is very unfortunate that you guys were not able to like mesh, like in the final hour to going up to BlizzCon. But if you guys end up splitting rosters up, making 2 teams that become ridiculously scary for NA, I'm all about that. If you guys are just like super jumping up the level of play, like awesome.
I don't know. Like I don't know if I agree with that. Like saying that we didn't mesh in the final hour. Like we had a great set versus
all right.
PK
But
and
you
a
got what
great
I'm
set.
saying.
There were
set
there were
versus
differences.
Braveheart.
There
I'm
were
just saying
indifferences.
early on, up through like BlizzCon qualifiers, you guys look great. Like, you know what I mean?
Versus
like, as a
NA
team-
only though. This is Korea and China. I don't know. I'm very happy with our performance versus like what's always been.
You're
the best.
misinterpreting my point. I'm saying like the team has to split at this point, and if it ends up working out that like NA becomes stronger in the long run because of it,
Oh,
just because of like synergy issues and stuff. It's like these 5 people can't be together.
If
they have to split
right.
up, why
New-
not make
new
2
God
awesome
squads are
teams out of it?
born?
Like,
Right.
That's great.
If we've got 3
Oh,
to
that's
4
good.
like godly teams in America, that's good for everyone because having the same team, like we have, this has been a problem for Heroes and viewership to some extent. Having the same 2 teams win everything isn't really healthy and interesting to watch competitions. One of the reasons, Kubi and I come from Melee. One of the reasons Melee is so successful is that there's like the 5 gods, 6 gods arguably, and there's like a few challengers that you don't know who's gonna win, and it's like anyone's game. So if there's 4 to 5 dominant forces that all have the capability of winning events, it makes competitions that much more compelling to watch. But we do need to leave the tempo discussion. We're going to now move on to talking about pretty much all the esports stuff. We just mentioned Enter the Storm, where Bob Ross Fan Club was victorious in that. But Gold League is one of the bigger events happening. Now, Cloud9 actually flew to China only days after their victory at BlizzCon, and they will now be competing in the Gold League. And oh, look at this handsome nerd. There is Dunk Train getting interviewed. I can link this interview for you guys if you want to listen to it.
It's amazing.
I found it to be quite enjoyable.
Me and Jake were dying watching this on the couch. Oh my god!
Dunk Train is a good friend of ours, and I don't know. This was just really fun, and actually, I don't know. The whole thing was great. They got their hair done, like the production crew like made them all pretty. Like, look how fluffy he looks. Man, that blow dryer did wonders for that hair.
That's all right. Not where I thought it was going.
So
It's
Gold
cool.
League.
It's not there yet, but it reminds me very early on,
GSL.
like GSL. Yes,
Very
like,
GSL-esque. It's
very GSL. Like
I-
when you would.
I just
you
wish they had English commentary and
Yeah.
better quality stream because the stream lags pretty hard for me.
I've reached out and I'm trying to get replays and stuff. So maybe eventually there will be an English commentary. I'm also just trying to get like approval to like cast over the VODs.
That's what
Oh.
I've been trying to do too. I don't want to
Yeah,
do
I-
it without their consent. I don't want to burn
Yeah,
their bridge.
I have Tao asking like to see, but anyways, like early on, like GSL.
Jared,
like,
let's do it
WCA,
together.
well, I'm 100% down, brother.
Okay.
Let's do it, man.
Kubi feels so cheated right now.
Get wrecked, Coop.
Show to your goal, huh?
Show to your goal. Get wrecked.
Oh,
Hey, Zoe Jake had like 100% win rate today. What about Kubi Jake? Ku Jake? What was your win rate?
0.
Yeah, that's right.
We only played one game.
That's right. You lost
That's-
100%. No, but WCA, like the days foreigners or not WCA, GSL, the days foreigners played in it would get like 3 times the viewership, and like those were nights like when
Dude,
it like when
The
when
Idra,
Jinro
the
was
Idra days,
playing,
dude. Oh, the Jinro days, the
Jinro
leather
was playing,
bracket.
I would stay up till 4 a.m.
Me
to
too.
watch.
For Idra, not Jinro. Idra, I used to. But
I was a Jinro fangirl, hardcore, but yeah, like it's just I don't know. It's almost there, right? Just the production quality. We need English stream and more people to be aware of it.
yeah.
Like
Um,
it's cool though. This is a huge thing. Like this is a huge step one for Heroes Esports.
Yeah, it is.
okay. It looks like I might have closed the link. Very good. No, I didn't. I didn't. So I'll link it here in chat for anyone that wants it. I'll try to remember to link it on YouTube. Let me put it in Skype so I don't forget. There we go. Let's talk about some of the results. Now, this is when spoilers come into play. Obviously, if you intend to watch the VOD, you don't want to know what happens, but here we go. Turn it off. Blah, 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 blah. Bam. Spoilers. So, going into the tournament, Cloud9 obviously just came off the run at BlizzCon, and they're playing against... Why did I forget? SPT. And
SP,
and-
SPT,
yeah.
STP or
Yeah,
what was that?
SPT. And SP Team's a team I admittedly don't really know anything about. And they go in, and I had been watching via Twitter because I was driving. So every time I was at a red light, I would check the tweets. And it's like, oh, Cloud9 lost.
Red light.
Yeah, you know. I actually stopped at a gas station. Anyways, Cloud9 lost game one. Straight up. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I've never heard of this team. They go to China. They've been there for a few days, so jet lag still comes into play, but I guess it's like a different environment, right? You're in a foreign environment. People speak a different language, and you're definitely not the fan favorite by any means. Where in North America, you were the fan favorite, right? You guys heard that crowd, how biased that crowd was at BlizzCon. It was ridiculous. Versus DK, like... DK would make the sickest plays, and crowd would be silent. And Cloud9 would do one minorly nice thing, and the crowd would be like, "Wah!" They just freak out. So, besides the point, they drafted Leoric, Jaina, Muradin, Abathur, Brightwing. We can actually just show this on the screen.
Yeah, there was a lot wrong with that game.
Yeah, exactly. And they gave up. In ETC, like so much control, right? You got Mosh Pit, you got Void Prison, you've got Wailing. Did you guys watch the VODs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd
I
you think
watched
about
part
game
of it.
one? Just the draft?
I think it was draft rotation.
Yeah.
Was
Draft
a big
rotation.
problem.
I agree. Game one was just them like I don't know. It was bad.
All right, yeah.
I think it's also really hard to adapt to like lesser known foreign teams than it is to like the more known foreign teams because it's hard to study them more too.
Yeah.
Also, if it's C9 actually is carrying really hard, they're also going to go out of their way to they'll gauge teams before they'll actually try. So game one, they'll go with a mid-level draft, and then they'll wait and see how well it goes. And if it goes okay, then they'll just proceed to do that until they lose, and then they'll change their draft to what like step it up another tier, and then they'll go and see how that goes. They very much are like to gauge who they're going against before they like change their draft to what is optimal. And so because of that, I think you saw game one. I don't know if they intentionally did that or it was maybe something they learned from scrims there too. But I definitely feel like it was Jaina followed with ETC Uther in that next rotation, and then it was an Abathur Muradin. That is completely unlike them in every way, shape, and form. So
Going to game two, they brought him to Dragonshire, and they busted out their Misha, Muradin, Uther. It's quite a bit of control.
yeah.
How ballsy is it for SPT to bust out Murky versus the Murky team?
I don't think you can call them the murky team by any means, just because
That's-
they.
I know,
Played it,
one
like-
game, but still.
I
it-
mean,
they're the
how
murky team,
ballsy
sorry.
is it? Equally ballsy as anybody else pulling out murky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that was some like, oh my goodness. I think like conceptually it made sense what they were trying to do. They just didn't expect Rexar, I think, was part of the problem. They were intending to use Murky to be a heavy dominate over one of the shrines, and when they failed to dominate the upper half of the map with Murky and then didn't have the composition to deal with the 4-man rotation situation, then became. But that game was like, was kind of, it was either that one or the next one was very back and forth though. So There was one game where they had a significant lead and then ended up withdrawing that lead to be almost. It was that game where they had a whole level lead, then it dropped to a half level lead, another whole level lead, and then they still ended up being a almost dead even team fight at 21-20. So, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it was just not that ballsy, but it was still pretty cool to see somebody try it.
Okay. Overall, though, let's just talk about the matchup. Do you think that Cloud9 played better, worse than BlizzCon? Do you think SPT showed up and surprised everyone? Like, what was the overall performance of the two teams?
It's an adjustment thing. Like it's a
Yeah.
league.
Yeah.
It's there's not a huge amount of pressure on that. Like they're still adjusting to the scene, traveling, all that stuff. I don't think any of us should have expected like an incredible series out of Cloud9 there. Like despite like how strong of a team they are, it'll get better as like the league goes on.
I want to kind of go back to something Jed brought up about how C9 is a team that takes mind games insanely seriously, and they do it a lot. Whether it's just in draft or in play. I don't want to go too in depth, but what Drep was talking about how they like could have like they gauge a team, like in a league format they can't just like throw matches and stuff, but if they're not afraid of an opponent, they're willing to like make it like they're willing to hide as much as possible to save it for the better teams. And it's always anytime I watch C9, I just can never tell if when they're like real. BlizzCon, for instance, they were real versus DK. That was as real as C9 gets. Other sets though, not so much.
Finals?
Finals was clearly real. But okay, go back to the first time they played Dig.
Yeah.
They were not. They were definitely put. This is thing C9 takes into account. If we lose here, is our seeding better for grand finals potentially? Things like that. They think about stuff like that. Like, do you think we can beat this team with subpar drafts? Do we have to show strategies? Because look what they did versus DK. They didn't show any of those strats versus any of the teams. Even when they were potentially going to be knocked down to the losers match in the group play, you didn't see any of these like super like fine-tuned stuff. Cloud9 is they're very smart when it comes to like mind games and strategy. It goes beyond inside the game, and anytime I watch them play, I don't know when they're giving it their all or not. So I don't know if I would like go in there and saying like, or maybe C9's shaken up or not. I mean, they could be potentially. They honestly could be. But they're BlizzCon champions for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's more, and it's a lot to do with what's inside the game, but also a lot to do with what they do outside of the game and how they think about each individual match.
Also, as a random tangent, if anyone figures out what those numbers mean,
Yes,
to the
that's what I
players-
wanted to ask.
Oh, can you please tell us? We could not
Dream
figure
is in the chat. Dream, why is he number 5? Why are you 24 or
this-
whatever it is?
20,
22.
Like, what?
Why is K1 Pro number 1?
Jersey number, dude. Duh.
Yeah, that's what they just got assigned numbers.
I think it's based on like ranking.
But who?
No, because there are
Dunk
numbers
Train's the
that
fifth
matter.
best player in the world. Dunk Train's the 5th best player in the world. Duh.
Caffeine's only number 13.
Oh shit.
Dream's 22.
Yeah, Dream's 22.
The fan is 23, 25 or something.
Yeah.
Just call it
K1
their age and call it a day.
Yeah.
Obviously,
So-
Dunk's 5 years old.
So K1
Would
Pro
that
is
be it?
1. He's a prodigy. 23.
Jake, I said that. Did I not say that? I said
They
it.
just asked us. Dream
did
is
say
saying
that.
in chat. They asked us to choose random numbers 1 to 23. Literally.
What?
What?
The dream.
That's just so much of the stuff that we saw. Too.
K1
That-
Pro is
I-
like, I want to be
Oh,
1.
that just
Man,
sounds
that
like
is
something
bizarre.
you do to like fuck with foreigners. Like these guys, these guys
Yeah.
are like first time in China. Let's just go ask them. Pick 5 random numbers. Like that's what I would do to like if we had like an invitational where like Schwimpy was here. It's like, hey, Schwimpy, pick 5 random numbers 1 to 50. Oh, okay, and just don't tell them why. Just have random numbers showing up. Like I have no idea, man.
That's actually awesome.
So, Cloud9 won their first match in China. They will be playing versus Braveheart, and I believe this is the actual Braveheart, not the BlizzCon Braveheart. But
That's not right.
so.
That's in 2 hours, right?
it's in 10 hours. 10 hours
hours?
from now. So
I will be up watching.
I will probably get up early to watch it as well.
I have to work. Oh.
Tragic.
I don't know why I'm doing the robot.
And then they play against Zero in 4 days, YL in 6 days, and then December 2nd, they play against XT, and that will be their full group. After that, it goes to playoffs, and then they will come back from China once Gold League is concluded. But currently, they are sitting in 3rd place in their group because they did lose a game, so they are actually behind. They're plus 1 point. But there's going to be a lot of stuff to follow for Cloud9. If you're interested in following their journey of China and Gold League, I mean, the best source I can tell you guys to use is just go to Liquipedia Heroes of the Storm and then find the Gold League page there. It's Gold Series Heroes League 2015 is the actual title listed on Liquipedia. What else happened? DreamHack is on the horizon. There is a DreamHack qualifier today. Most of the notable teams have been invited to the event, but there were also qualifier spots. The 2 teams sitting in the grand finals, TCM Gaming and Goofers. I'm honestly not certain who's on those squads right now. There's been a lot of roster changes. But from the first qualifier, maybe the only qualifier, that is who's sitting there. DreamHack is, of course, on Thanksgiving, so next Thursday. What else? What other events?
I think that's it, brother.
WCA.
WCA. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned that I flew to California to cast a single best of 3 where Complexity played with Chef. Chef was their temporary, potential temporary. I mean, I can't speak for the team. Their fill-in, though, listed on the website, support player. Blink's no longer with Complexity. Chef played in. They defeated Cognitive 2-0. Chef played Malfurion both games.
What was that for, by the way?
That
'Cause
was
both teams
for-
qualified, didn't they?
Both teams
Money.
qualified, but it was okay. So here's the deal with WCA. WCA has a global tournament happening in December. Tempo Storm qualified in the Pro League Invitational many months ago. They defeated Cloud9 in a LAN event. That was the first LAN in America. Jared and I actually cast that. Then they had a Open League event where there was going to be 4 teams. Cloud9 was one of those 4. Cloud9 had their auto spot, and then it was going to be the top 3 teams from an Open League event that had already happened. Since Cloud9 is in China, WCA opted to give their wildcard invite to Cloud9. So Cloud9 actually were given a spot rather than playing in the Open League. They got second at the Pro Qualifier. It's more than justified. They won BlizzCon. It's fine. My webcam is acting laggy. And then, so we had this finals event. It was between Panda Global, Cognitive, and Complexity. They played a 3-man tournament that started with Panda Global starting in the lower bracket. Most of this wasn't streamed. We actually only streamed the grand final. So Panda Global started in lower bracket. Complexity won 2-0 in upper bracket. I actually broke my webcam. Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't even know what to tell you. The show is just about over, so I'm gonna deal with a black box. My webcam has been trash lately. Yeah. So and then they went down to lower bracket. Cognitive beat Panda Global, and in the grand finals, it was Complexity 2-0 Cog. Cog did some weird stuff. They tried to play Falstad. We saw a Mighty Gust in the wrong direction.
Sounds like
Cognitive
Cog.
doing weird things? What?
No. Not Cognitive doing weird things. Cognitive doing bad things? What?
Ooh. I wish my webcam would work.
It seemed weird for them to be as kind of like trolly as they were in such an important series, because like I'm sure they put a lot of thought into their comps and everything, but like it really was like
It felt weird.
risking a lot when I've like Complexity hasn't really like had as nearly as much like time to like get ready for this tournament. Like they're not going to be in their best shape right now, and they have to use like a sub. So I'm just surprised that they took such risky strategy picks instead of just playing really solid, strong, regular HOTS.
Yeah, it's like, what would you hide your strats from, right? That's what I was thinking of. Like, oh, maybe they're hiding strats. And I was like, wait, why? This is a $5,000 difference. $8,000 to $3,000 first to second. Both go to China. So it will be Cog, Complexity, Tempo Storm, and Cloud9 in the event that Tempo Storm does include, as the 4 teams from North America. I don't know what WCA would do if Tempo doesn't attend. It could be a completely different region. I really don't know. But that is where WCA stands. The games were definitely interesting. But, yeah. I think that's pretty much the esports update. I don't know why my webcam sucks so much.
Dude, on a scale of 1 to tilt, where do you sit right now?
Oh, God, you have no idea how much production things tilt me, dude. You have no
I know,
idea.
I do.
Can we talk
Oh.
about the Liquid changes?
Oh,
Raul
the
going over to Team Liquid, Rockhat picking up Black Scorp and Grand Paquete, I think.
yeah, and Fnatic picked up.
Maybe Fnatic picked up.
They picked up some of the guys from Pirates.
Yeah, so there's shifts going over there. I'm glad we
Big-
were prepared
big
for those
shifts,
shifts.
like-
That's my bad. We'll talk about that next week. We can go deeper on the EU.
Yeah, I would like to do that because next week I think we're going to do a big DreamHack preview. Next week, I think we're probably going to have to do a show on Tuesday just because of Thanksgiving. I don't think I'm going to be home on Wednesday. Thanksgiving's on Thursday.
Yeah. When were you going to tell us this?
I just
Yeah,
realized it right now.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
You know what, viewers? It's cool. Viewers, we're on
Yeah.
the same. We're all on the same. Yeah.
No.
The great equalizer has struck. Jake
Yeah.
says.
Jake
Just
says
dropped
that.
this on us.
I bet you Zoya knew. How does that make Zoya knew?
Yeah, that's because you guys are, Chogal. I don't know.
What-
Yeah. But not you.
Zoya, Jake. Yeah. We just know these things, Jacoby.
It's just kind of,
Or Kobe, man.
one mind. All right. Let's get to the shout-outs. Let's start with you, Zoya.
Just shout out Temple Storm and our sponsors, Twitch, G2A, and Namecheap. Something's
Cheek.
go Namecheap.
Name cheek for the win.
Funk is still technically a sponsor, but they just got bought out by Fnatic. But something's happening there where we're still. I don't know what to call them yet.
Sponsorship limbo.
Sponsorship limbo. They're still there, but I don't know what we're calling them yet. Like I don't know. So yeah, shout out to our sponsors. A big shout out to Reynad. You would be surprised at how patient and
He deals with you.
He lets us do what we think is best. You would expect the team owner to be like, Jake brought it up, like the 250,000 plus prize pool for WCA, things like that. Reynad is very, big picture and very chill with us. So big shout out to him for a lot of what we do and stuff being possible. And I don't think I have very many. Shit. The esports.
Great.
What am I hearing? Oh, Day 9 screaming in my ear because I had a Twitch stream in the background. He just got hosted. That tripped me out too. There is the esports. I'm sorry. I'm
Join
full
the
tilt
call.
right now. I'm full tilt right now because Day 9 just started screaming at me. There's the esports arena tournament. That myself and Gillyweed are casting is January, very early in the January. They are doing a Kickstarter to it that's already raised almost $2,500. If you donate, it increases the prize pool, potentially gets more casters flown out, cool things like that. There it is in the chat. You can have us do stuff for you on stream and stuff. But that's going to be really cool. Love casting with Gilly, and it's going to be a Heroes Land that's going to have the best teams in North America and potentially 2 really good teams from EU being flown out as well. So a big shout out to Esports Arena for bringing me on, and it's going to be a really cool event.
Yeah, something in chat brought up, ADRD being sub for by multiple people, including JPL. We know nothing about the deets on that, but that will be a topic for next week. Coobs.
So, yeah, we're kind of in the sort of, I guess, off-season for NA Heroes, at least for the time being. But in this interim, I'm going to spend 100% of my time trying to win back Jake as his Cho.
Oh, man.
That's it.
I'm blushing. I wish my webcam was working.
I don't think it's possible to go from 0% to 100%. Like I think you're always going to be like at like 99, like point whatever, even if you win everything from here on out. So I think you're just kind of screwed, man. Jake's mine, bitch.
I'll try anyway. I gotta work tirelessly at this. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, KO.
Yeah. Thanks. I don't know. thank you to all the fans and stuff who have kind of like stuck with us during this period where we're trying to get things figured out. Because I know it's tough to watch a team in this position, and but it's also exciting because like we are being patient with it, and we are taking our time to make sure that we actually find the right people. That means we're going to build the strongest team we can for 2016, and so just be patient for a little bit longer. We're not going to be in the Chinese tournaments, but we're going to be really strong come January. So.
All right, Dreadnought.
Zoya got all of our weed. Zoya got all of our sponsors. So shout out to Temple Storm still, and then again, the fans and everything. It's awesome that you guys stick with it, and everybody who watches my stream and stuff too. You guys are awesome. I've been doing that the past couple of days. Surprised at the amount of positive feedback with that and everything. So. I mean, Dread W to all of you. Thanks for tuning in and everything, and that's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to episode 86. Thanks so much for coming on, you two. We'll keep you updated as to when the show is happening next week, because I do have to sort that. And beyond that, what is going on? I'm doing Super Stream Week in a few weeks, which is going to be all the things I've promised over the last year to the stream. So the Pikachu
Naked stream?
Huh? No! No, stop. The Pikachu suit, maybe in a dinosaur suit, mustache and aviators, the multi-webcam for donation thing, and I need basically an idea for 1 or 2 more days. So if you guys want to tweet me ideas, do it. It can be ridiculous.
When are you doing this?
It's going to be like the first week of December.
Okay.
So that will be coming soon, and we're going to start planning Town Holiday. We'll let you know exactly when Town Holiday will be. The final show of the year is approaching. You're coming on this year, Dreadnought.
I want on that one. Can I get on that one this time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes!
He's an alcoholic. We're trying to get him to drink one.
I get to be on the drinking one, and dream come true.
Well, that way we can have the
Maybe
whole...
we'll actually do viewer call-ins this year too.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try. We're gonna try. By bringing you on, we invite pretty much all of Tempo Storm to be on in your room. So anybody in the house is welcome to come and be rowdy in your room. We're probably also gonna have on Dunk Train for Town Holiday, because that is gonna.
You're gonna have me and Dunk on the same episode?
We've never done it.
What?
Oh god, that's just too many supports in one.
So that's how viewer call-ins are working. Everyone's invited to the.
You can't see my hands. My hands are flailing around everywhere. You guys.
So everybody
Too many
to the Temple Storm house, and you guys can get your thoughts in that way. That's how it's gonna work.
Yo, me and Dunk are gonna be on the same show. This is the dream, dude.
That's gonna be a lot of people hating on this game.
That'll be the final episode of the year in December. So all that news coming very soon. Thanks for tuning in to episode 86, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you, nerds.
Jared, what was that sound?
Dreadnought likes to